The last couple of days, someone convinced me to watch the conspiracy theory documentaries that are all on YouTube now.
Fall Cabal?
Yeah. Did you watch it?
So, oh my God.
I'm dying to talk to someone about it.
Oh, we'll dive into this motherfucker right now.
I just watched it. I finished it like last night, and I got my dad, the former Marine, who's super fun and like he's supportive of my career. He's super into conspiracy theories. I remember because they got that former Marine. Marines all kind of have like that kind of like, we know shit that nobody else knows, and this is bullshit. And so I remember that alien documentary on Netflix came out called Unacknowledged. And this is a good impression. I was telling my dad to go watch it. I was like, did you watch it? He's like, yeah. I was like, what do you think? He goes, didn't see anything I already know. So, I'm good friends with my parents, both of them, and they both work for the city that they live in. So they're like 5 days on, 5 days off, because they have to keep the people in the office working. So it's been fun to be able to just like bullshit with them all day, every day. Like, this is crazy, but they're really happy for me that I get to we're all making money still. We're all still like, our salaries haven't changed. So it's just been fun to be like, how'd you eat today? Like, that's been fun. Connecting with people, getting to do podcasts like this that normally I would have been like putting everything off because you're so overwhelmed with what it takes to be out on the road. Like the day before, the day after, I can barely like tweet more than once a day. You know what I mean? Fuck, I got so much shit that I'm putting together and taking out and suitcasing and laundry. And
I know, I'm well aware. Like, as I said, for my audience, I've been trying to get Jayden to come do this show for a couple of years now.
Damn, that's right. The Sam Tripoli's filming was in March, and that's the last time. That was when I was at your place.
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, dude, 2 years to the date almost.
Yeah, it was like either March or April, like 2 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, I just sent my dad. I was like, Dad, episode 5 is not even on anymore, and I found it and I just sent it to him. But anyway, so you go ahead. Okay. Tell me your whole
my whole thing. So actually, the woman who's I went over to fix her audio last night texted me. She's like, hey, I got this doc you have to check out.
Did she really?
Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll check it out.
I want to watch Guys and Dolls and the Fall of Cabal.
Well, that was weeks ago. And
okay. Anytime you ask a dude to watch Guys and Dolls with you, I think there's a little bit of like, I don't want to just like, like if her hand grazed against yours during Guys and Dolls, I don't feel like she'd be mad about it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Play it cool, buddy. Play it cool. Text me before.
I will. But so I start watching it, and I'm open-minded about shit. But I'm not nearly Sam's level of conspiracy theory. Like, for the audience, if you go back to when Sam was on the show, I gave him some shit about some of his conspiracy theories while he was on air.
Which ones?
Oh, I think I flat out like, Sam, you don't think the Earth's flat, right? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's one that I don't understand either.
Like, we've all been in planes. We can see the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, it's scientifically proven otherwise.
Right. So, and I start watching Fall Cabal, and it's like, for the audience who has not watched it, it's on YouTube. The 5th part you have to go find because it's very Pizzagate heavy, and I'm pretty sure that's why YouTube banned it.
Yes, for sure.
The first thing I know is like, wow, they are throwing like every major conspiracy theory minus flat Earth under one fucking umbrella.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm like, okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. And I'm just taking notes. And I noticed that in the early episodes, it's a little pro-Trump. I'm like, okay, that's a little odd.
Yeah, I try to take it with a grain of salt and really think about this. Like, is this pro-Trump or is this just like anti-cabal, like in a way that, I don't know, like some parts I was like, oh, this is a little pro-Trumpish more than I thought. But then other times I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. So it's just sort of like, I always feel like it's somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Well, there's definitely some things that are misrepresented. Like the first thing I caught was they're like, Donald Trump was the only president to ever not take his salary. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Both Hoover and JFK did not take their salaries.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Right. Like as I'm watching this, I'm taking notes, and like things that I knew off the top of my head, I was confirming my bias. Like, because there's just some factoids. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Trump was not the first president to not take his salary. So Google, it's like, oh, nope, both Hoover and JFK were on record for not taking their salaries.
I don't like lies like that.
Right. And then the problem is when I catch stuff like that, it automatically makes me skeptical of every other information that they're presenting.
It's like when someone lies about something little, you're like, oh, I don't know what else you're lying about. Now I don't know, because you just so casually threw that lie out there like I wasn't going to fact check that. And that's the thing. My friends that convinced me to watch Tiger King were the same ones that convinced me to do the Fall Cabal one. And I honestly was just like, I can't really get past the like early 2000s graphics along with like the fucking like shocked baby face. Like, what? Is this for real?
Well,
like, what is this? Like the amount of stock photos used after they revealed something shocking. I was like,
well, and half of it feels like just art criticism.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
well, it sounds like this is made by a deeply troubled, traumatized young woman's cry for help. I'm like, not always.
I mean, even if it absolutely is, that doesn't mean there's some grand conspiracy about it. Shitty things happen to people. It might come out in their art.
100%. It was deeply, you're right. That's a really good way to put it. It's very critical of art. But I also am like, why the fuck was that pizza shop owner in with the DC elite? Like, that's weird.
Well, we'll get to the Pizzagate end of it. Like, I was watching, I'm like, okay, so they do present spins on some things that are very questionable. And that's where it's a good job of trying to make their spin for everything else. It's like, well, if you do research this part of it, yeah, they're fairly accurate on some of the things. But the strands that they take to connect that thing to other things, that's where it becomes flimsy.
Yes.
So, like, one of the things, especially in part 5, first and foremost, I'll just put this out there. I think Pizzagate is absolute bullshit.
Really?
Okay. We'll go with the fact that there is no basement in that pizza place.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There's not even a fucking basement there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How did you know that?
Well, first and foremost, DC is built on a swamp. Most buildings don't have basements, period.
Right.
And I believe the blueprints are like public knowledge. Like, you could get the blueprints online. Right. There's just no basement in the building.
Yeah, now that I think about it, DC is in that weird in-between spot where it's like it's coastal, but it's in between the South and the East Coast, which are two very different spots. So I don't understand anything like this, but like that's a really good piece of information.
Well, and on top of it, like the Fall Cabal bit on part 5, do you remember the part where they're pulling out like the owner's questionable Instagram posts?
Yes.
So if you watch it, like the first 2 or 3 questionable, and like they're just in poor taste. His posts are in, from that point, like after 2 or 3 of them, without saying anything, they are showing pictures of a different person's Instagram account.
I thought that was weird.
And I went into that dude's Instagram. That dude is, the second account is like some gay activist in DC who just was tagging the pizzeria at events and shit. He doesn't work there. He has no ownership stake in the place. And the way they presented it just seemed like it was a misrepresentation.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was just like, these are just questionable spins.
Yeah. That's why I had to mix that in with the fucking stock photos and the early 2000s graphics. I was like, this is cute.
Right. And like the thing about it is like every article they post, if you Google any of those websites, are all, conspiracy theory websites.
Right.
So of course they're going to have confirmation bias on what you already want to know. It's like, if this is science or if this is reputable media, it's going to be covered by multiple sources.
Mm-hmm.
Like science works in peer review. Reputable media works in peer review. I mean, it's shitty in this day and age how media works because everyone's rushing to get that clickbait. So a lot of
I
shit's not
know.
fucking researched. But at the end of the day, I am skeptical of anything covered by one source.
Yes.
Like, especially something that is so sensationalized as any of the conspiracies covered in the Fall Cabal, that it's only covered by one fucking source.
Yeah.
You should be skeptical of that.
I just felt like I wanted more, everything that she was saying throughout the documentary. I wanted like receipts. I wanted to see like, how did you get this information?
Right. Well, and
why are you contradicting this information, this piece about so-and-so, when like, how did you get that information? Was that a reliable source? Or was that some like conspiracy theorist on a tangent who accidentally took like too much Adderall that day and just started writing shit that made sense to their brain at the time and then fit the narrative that that person seeking the info was looking for?
Oh, exactly. And it's kind of a shady thing that they do in the beginning of the series. Is like, well, do your own research, make up your own mind. How many Americans are too fucking lazy to do that?
All of us.
Not me. I mean, I literally took notes and started researching stuff like during it.
Yeah, no, I actually took notes too. I took more notes of like I documented, or I opened up tabs to look up like Dr. Dean Lorick, Fiona Barnett, Cannibal Club Los Angeles, Richard Kerr.
Oh, let's touch on the Cannibal Club. The Cannibal Club, that is 100% fiction.
Like, what the fuck? Like, anyone could write a website like that, but
right.
like,
it 100% is fiction. Like, it's just fucking fiction. Like, I have my notes in front of me. Like, in part 2, the Fed wasn't established, so they make a whole point of like saying that Lincoln was assassinated for going against the Fed. The Fed wasn't established till 1913.
Oh my god!
Which they even say later in the same episode.
Right.
Like, are you not paying attention to the information that they're presenting to you? Like,
interesting. And I get where someone like Sam Tripoli's coming from, because like he's genuinely coming from a place where he just doesn't want to see children hurt.
Well, I certainly don't want to
appreciate that. So I'm open-minded to that thing.
Right. I'm open-minded too. I don't want to see children hurt, but I think one of the things that, it's been a couple of years since I had Sam on the show. One of the things I confront him about is like, hey, Sam, you're putting all this time and energy into exposing these conspiracies, but what are you actually doing about it?
Right. Like, I guess in someone's mind, that's like a comedian and a podcast host of a pretty cool podcast. I like Tinfoil Hat. It's actually one of my favorite intro songs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. No, and like, it's no knocking at Sam. I love Sam. Like, he's my friend. But at the end of the day, it was just like, hey man, like, and it's part of his brand now. I'm not trying to knock his money, his income and his money and all that shit. But at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not going to lose sleep. Even if this shit was all 100% true, I'm not going to lose sleep over something that I have no control over.
Right. There's only so much like someone like you or I could do.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, Sam, why are you getting so worked up about something that you're not prepared to do anything about?
That's true, but I think he gets worked up to get other people more aware and a little bit less like, oh, I don't want to know, like a little bit less. So I understand what that purpose is, to have a podcast, to talk about it, to talk about how angry it makes you. I could see the benefit to that for sure.
It's just my thought process on like, it feels like impotent rage. It's like, I'm so angry about this, but there's nothing I can do about it, nothing I'm willing to do about it. Like,
yeah,
as fucked up as it was, the guy who stormed Comet Ping Pong with a gun to try to save those children, that guy at least had the fucking conviction to try to save those children.
Yeah, that guy that's a whack job for sure.
No, 100% that dude's a whack job.
Mass shooter status.
I'm not condoning that the dude rolled in there with a gun to save the children, but at least in his head, he's like, I'm going to do something about this.
Right. For sure.
Like, I support the thought process. Not the thought process, but I support the idea if I don't support the actual like execution of his idea.
For sure.